Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're going to start the meeting off tonight with the SB Spark Awards. So SB stands for Exceptional Student Performance this year. This award is given to students who are doing well academically and have an exceptionally positive attitude about school. They demonstrate respect and responsibility towards staff and their peers. They show courage by not conforming to peer pressure and refuse to accept anyone who bullies. The school board and the district want to recognize these students by celebrating their success at the beginning of each board meeting. Students will receive a certificate, have a chance to come up and meet the board members, and their names will be announced on the web, and then their names will also be entered into a drawing at the end of the year. In the past, it's been an iPad or a Chromebook or something like that, so a nice prize for one of the kids involved. So Mike Adams is going to be giving the awards out this evening.
Well, at first we have Quinn Clark from the high school. Oh, and you can go back and we'll call everybody up one at a time, and at the end we'll all come up here and take a picture. Yes. Sorry, we didn't make that clear. Also from the high school, Brady Peterson. From the junior high, Devin Sharp.
Good job, Ben.
Also from the junior high, we have Sydney Doming. From Foster, we have Bella Walls. And we also, from Foster, we have Mickey Russell. From Hawthorne, we have Drew Wallman. And also from Hawthorne, Matt Wilson.
Good job. Good job, Matt.
From Holly, we have Boone Desmond.
Good job.
From Oak Heights, we have Aaliyah Palmtag. Also from Oak Heights, Amy Lynn Lacey. And from the charter school, we have Noah Holman.
Good job, Noah.
Also from the charter school, Serenity Boyer. Good job. Now, if everybody come back up here, kind of stand and face that way with your certificates. Come on up. Smile.
Good job.
Good job, guys.
Now, we do recognize this as a school night, so parents, if you want to take your kids and go home, that's fine with us. If you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting, you can as well. No worries.
You didn't think that, Bobby News coming in?
Make room for her to stand on the front row.
All right, we do have a revised agenda tonight. We've added 7B, approve an early literacy grant application. So with that, no late items, I will open it up to motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll move forward. So student and personnel reports, certified and classified representatives. Steve, how are you this evening? Newly retired Steve.
Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Hey, thanks, board appreciation. I do appreciate you guys serving as you do, because all you got to do is make sure you make everybody happy. Nothing to it, right? No, Bill Hampton told me a long time ago, he says, you're always going to have a third of the population that doesn't like what you do no matter what you do. And so I do appreciate the board serving, and especially, when you got, I understand when some of these young ones come on here with their kids coming through, but man, you were ready to sell off into the sunset, man, but you stepped back in, Floyd. So. No, I watched, after I left, I ended up watching the meeting last week, and I really appreciate a lot of things that you had to say, Floyd. I do. I thought you were spot on with, looking to find ways. That's what you got to do. You always got to find a way to make things better. I didn't like the focus that was put on. I think Kevin did a really good job showing us about those state standardized tested. I don't know how that ranking comes up. I know it comes off because our 11th graders apparently can't do math, but that's garbage. It is. But we are one of the top ranking, highest ranking places when it comes to poverty, homelessness, and students on IEPs. Not one of and we are the top in those areas. And so as long as we can maybe find them power, Wi-Fi, warm bed, food, then we can get those test scores up, But that's why I look at these, the test scores and being ranked on something like that when it's garbage, a standardized test. Do you know why you can't ask me about my state test scores? Because I didn't take them. How'd you ever manage a business for so many years without doing a state test, Floyd? I'll never know, And it just came along with No Child Left Behind, is when the standardized testing and those came on. And I'm glad you didn't ask me to solve your example that you used, because I couldn't. I'd find a way though, right? So, but I do, there is something that is kind of a misleading on that. When the Oregon Department of Education suspended state testing, Manny said that you only need to show up to graduate. That's not true. That's not true. That is totally not true. They suspended state testing as being a graduation requirement. And even though it was a graduation requirement, homeschooled students or any students could still opt out of taking the state testing and just show a proficiency in other ways. Students still need to meet the standards that we set before them. They still need to go to class. They still need to pass their classes, and they need to take tests. And if all they had to do was show up, then we wouldn't have any students getting into Oregon State or University of Oregon or Southern Oregon or they might get into University of Oregon, but
Turn off his mic.
But anyhow, and just so you know, when people are applying for those or Harvard or Stanford or anywhere, none of them ask them, hey, how'd you do on the state test scores? How was your science and what was your math proficiency? 11th grade, it's graded on the 11th graders. Now, although it's not a requirement, we still do it and you're still judged on it. But I want to tell you something about a lot of 11th graders. That's at grade level. Grade level math for an 11th grader would be Algebra 2. Not the math for trades that some of them might take or a business math. Not the students that come in as a freshman in Algebra Basics and then take geometry or, and then or they take Algebra Basics, Algebra 1, and then geometry as a junior, and then maybe they're in an Algebra 2 or a different pathway. We've created a trades opportunity. Not everybody's college bound. College bound is Algebra 2 is the minimum requirement to get into any university. And so putting a standard and because as a math teacher, 29%, well, what's meeting at 29% is pretty good if that's the kind of questions they were having to answer. I don't look at the state test. I don't find much validity in a standardized test anyhow. One thing I do 100% agree with Manny, though. He said his objective is to keep kids safe and educated, and that's mine too. And that's what we're doing. That's what these teachers are doing. And one of the things, and I talked about, our poverty level here and homelessness here, and the number of students on IEPs. He said, what do you do with little Johnny who needs that extra help? Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what we do. I sent something. At the grade schools, they're doing math and reading nights. They're having one-on-ones. They're evaluating students to find out what better serves them. We've partnered with the Boys and Girls Club in our school to create a homework-based and after-school supports. Hawthorne has the Hive. The high school has Homework Hub. All these grade schools have a different program. And where we can't, and God bless these stinking elementary school teachers, because when we're talking poverty, you know, a high school kid sometimes learns how to get clean or finds clothes or can go and get some things, but these little kids are stinky kids, and these elementary school teachers are loving on these stinky kids, and they're, you know, well, you call them stinky kids, well, some of them are. They don't have what's needed, but yet we're finding ways. Staff is putting together snack packs daily for those kids. The junior high is having group games and snacks and safe places for kids to go after school. The high school has a closet of clothes, a closet of hygiene, a homework hub. You know, there's so many different things, and differentiating instruction, finding different ways to make it so these kids can be successful. And I'm pretty proud of that. You know, the one-on-one work, sending out food backpacks, how we help them academically and stuff like academically and personally. We have mental health professionals hired in our school district. Do you know how many school districts don't have mental health professionals? And we step forward, this board, put the money forward, set it up to have those people to serve the needs. When Jocelyn was first hired, we didn't realize it was going to be a wave. It was, I mean, to where currently 2, right? We've got 2 mental health professionals and our counselors. And it is incredible that, you know, we have that, plus a homelessness liaison. When we were in school, and everybody, back when we need to get it back to where we was. By God, I hope we never go back to when I was, because we're so far more advanced. And a ranking of our school based on that stuff. In 1998, we won the state title. That was my first time I ever won a state title as a coach. That was the first of 6, but it was the first. We were ranked 12th. There you go. We were ranked 12th, and we won the state title. You remember it. Your son was part of that team. No one picked us. And what we're doing at our school right now, and I'm sorry, when I take a little bit of pride in where I'm from and what we're doing. And, you know, one other thing, this 215th ranking, we have 13 different courses that we offer at the high school that are college credit courses. Kids are graduating with a year of college under their belt. They're taking stuff and creating more opportunities, saving thousands of dollars, not to mention, what was it last year, 2.6 million in scholarship? These rankings, it doesn't show what we're doing. And it, you know, and I appreciate people's passion and what they're wanting to do and how they're wanting things to get better. But the other day I was at my sister's house, my sister and brother-in-law's house. They have a house here in Sweet Home. My daughter and her husband are going to start renting it. They're moving back from Redmond. Yes. But there was a plumbing issue, and I didn't try to figure it out. I texted Floyd. I said, because Floyd's the professional at this. I texted him. He said, oh, this is what you need, blah, blah, blah. Piece of cake, right? You want to know what's being done in the school? Don't ask people that are assigning or ranking that aren't in a classroom and are not a professional educator, that are somebody that is an administrator overseeing statistics. That's how you want to know what we're doing here? We're doing great things. We're doing great things at all levels. We've got a group of elementary administrators that are working at making their buildings better. I got it. I'm very fortunate. I'm lucky what I have at the high school. My administration at the high school is absolutely incredible. Yeah, Jim?
I was going to say, why don't you tell us where they were 2 years ago and where they are today?
Who?
Our students.
Oh, our students. Yeah, I can tell you where they were.
That would be a good reality check on.
Yeah. We wrapped ourselves. We went through COVID. you know, and 2 years ago, we were just coming out of it, wondering if what mask we were going to wear and who couldn't wear a shield and are we going to do this and that? And then, well, I won my last state title 2 years ago. So, but, you know, we had a wrestling season in June, you know, where we were in 2021. Well, now it's 2024. 2 years ago, we were just getting back into
First year back.
First year back of normal. First year back of normal. And, you know, I'm wondering at what point the dress-up days are going to be. COVID dress-up, you know. You know, when you start going back, they have an 80s dress-up, and pretty soon they're going to have a COVID dress-up. But,
Too soon.
no, too soon, I know. But, no, Jim, what I see at our school and people working and I compare, when I tell my friends what we do and the different things we do and how we manage tardies, you mean you focus on tardies and absences? You mean you put real world job related skills? You know, we've got a forestry program, we've got a forestry team. I don't know if you've watched our band lately, they're exploding. You know, athletics are kicking. We're doing a lot of very good things, and especially coming off of Christmas and back into this. You know, I'm sorry if I do not find the importance of a snapshot on time state test. Who knew that they could just bubble. Okay, thanks for coming, and now I got to go study for my test. Now I got to go study for my history test. Now I got to get ready. I got to complete that math assignment. I got to do whatever in the classes to meet the standards of what's required to pass and get good grades. So, no, we're doing some good things. I don't want to sound negative on that, but when I see our elementary schools that are constantly finding ways to celebrate kids and make them feel good and like school, and then the catch-all is the high school. When it doesn't matter if a kid comes in at grade level or not, they're supposed to be at grade level by, their 11th grade year. And that just doesn't work that way, guys. But despite that, Floyd, again, constantly finding ways. Talk about it. Find ways to make it better. And that's exactly what the junior high is doing up there. The Boys and Girls Club, teaming with them on that, the homework hubs, the different things that we do. Those are finding different ways. Now, if we could we've got a lot of kids on IEPs. Well, we're one of the top ranked in the state of Oregon. We've got a lot of kids homeless. We're the number, I think we're number 2 or number 1 on poverty. We're number 2. So, if we can find ways, which we do, which we constantly do, we clothe them. There's a lot of people that buy their athletic gear, and there's a lot of, I get a front row seat to a lot of it, and they find ways to take care of our own. So, but I do agree. I'll go back again with what Floyd said about we got to be looking, we got to be communicating, finding ways to still get these up there. And sure, but to say that you don't have to do anything other than show up, that's not true. That's not true. That's a fallacy. That's false. You still have to show up. You got to get your grades. You got to pass your classes. You got to pass all your classes. And that's why when they walk across there, Ralph Brown says, "It's my honor and duty and my honor to certify that the students have met the requirements of the state of Oregon to receive their diploma." So I'm just tickled that they've suspended through 2028. As far as I'm concerned, they can go through 2038, and when they hit 38, they can go to 48. Either way, I ain't going to be at any of them. So, but any questions for me? Thank you for letting me come here and say that. You got any ideas, though? I mean, different ways that we can just individual. I mean, we're trying different things. Our PLCs are working very hard, and our guiding coalition, like I know at the high school, we're working at finding ways. Our 9th grade success team, our ninth grade success team, are you aware of that? That's something that was started, Darren, you started that, right? How long? 3 years ago? It was before COVID. We started focusing in on our ninth graders. So now we focus in on these ninth graders. We get a kid, we champion them. I've got a couple kids that I champion that I just check in with, that grades are horrible or their life's bad, but we check in, we call it championing them. And it's working so well with our ninth graders and keeping them on pace to graduate that we're looking to move it to 10th graders now. Kind of keep that going, so. Now, we're doing some pretty good things for the 215th ranked school in the state of Oregon. I'm happy with it. Any questions, guys? For me? Are you sure?
You divvy up those ninth graders amongst all the teachers, huh?
It's pretty cool. In a meeting, we sit there and they're projected up there, and this kid here is, this is a kid and a teacher. I'll take that one. Yeah, I'll take this one. I have this student, let me take that one. A couple of them are wrestlers, so I've taken them, and because I'm around them. And you literally champion them, and then during PLC, we report this is what we touched base on. This is what we did with them. Mine are very, one kid I have in class, another kid I don't have in class, but I touch base with him, and we talk about stuff that has nothing to do with wrestling every now and then. So, it helps. Building relationships is what it's about. So, but, yeah. So I hope I don't get in trouble for saying I don't care about state tests, boss. So.
Nah, you're mostly in trouble with tests in Oregon.
Well, yeah. Yeah. All right, guys. I appreciate, and I really do appreciate you guys doing this. This is a Monday night that you could be doing something else, and a Tuesday morning email you'd probably rather answer with, doing something other than answering that. So, but I do appreciate this board and what they do. What?
Championship game.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Go ahead.
If I may, Max, if you could forbear us for just a minute. We have a special guest that's arrived, and I recognize her from our many barbecues that we've had at, or not Oak Heights, Amy Lynn Lacey, right?
Nice job.
Did the paper want to get a picture of her too?
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, do we have anybody from the classified union? I see Lisa back there, but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing somebody there. So,
And we do recognize this as a school night. If you guys,
yeah,
in
you
the
guys
front
don't
row
have to stay.
decide you don't have to stay.
all right, student report. Max, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello everybody, again, I'm Max Plum. Fine, I got kind of a weird throat going on, so sorry. Let's see, it was pretty quick this year last, with the break, we're just coming off of it, there's a lot of stuff happening all at once. Kids are really excited to be back, though. They're all really excited. Everybody that I've seen is excited to see everybody, see their friends. Yeah. Sports, just, going for right off the bat. Basketball league starts next week. There is a home girls game, tomorrow, and both girls and guys are home on this Friday. Guys basketball is in Madras right now, so they'll be home for some senior day time. Swim team, they have a home meet on the 20th, and as everybody I'm sure knows, we have a great swim program. They've been killing everybody. Wrestling, right up there with swimming, they have a Redmond Classic coming up this next week. I think that's, I remember correctly, Friday and Saturday. and as well, they're doing amazing. Cheer, we don't have to talk about cheer very much, but it's kind of fun. Cheer has a big cheer competition coming up this Saturday. I think it's going to be in the main gym, so if anybody would like to go see some performances and hear some chants, Saturday's a good. Let's see, arts-wise, we have a talent show put on by the juniors. The junior class board, they're putting on a talent show, they're putting 29. I'm not sure what time exactly, I'm sure you can email me and I can find out or Rosa or anyone from the high school that we have to get to. That's this 29th. Monthly masterpiece, I talked about it last time, it's every month. There is submit a little, I think this one was create an ornament, you know, draw a Christmas thing and turn it in. That's going really well as well. This one I think I'm going to do. There's a theater improv show happening in the library on the 19th. I've never been to it. School spirit wise, this is kind of what Orb was going off of. We have a really good school spirit. Like, my dad recently got engaged, and his fiance has a daughter, and she goes to Sprague High School in Salem. And they have like 2,000 kids there. And she was talking about how, like, for like participation in dress up, if they're lucky, they get almost like maybe 200 kids. And that's like, I can do that. That's like 10%. We have, what, around 700, I think somebody said, and we get around 200-300 kids every now. That is almost half our school population that are really excited about school spirit and going for it. And it's, we went to Cascade High School for one of their homecoming assemblies, and all respect to Cascade. We just had winter formal this weekend. It was Saturday. We had almost 200 kids show up. That was really fun. We actually did this morning. The junior high leadership team, I think it's TLC. TLC, yeah. They actually came down to the high school today for the first 4 periods in our leadership class. We did some like team building materials. We had Ken from Rotary come in and he bought us all pizza and told us what stuff they were doing. Showed them around the high school a little bit. And yeah, kind of get, I won't be there when they're here, but got to know them. That was really cool. We have, the English department has put on an influence writing. Has anybody heard about that? So they're going to start doing every year. They have like a theme, one big theme that everybody writes about. And this year it's like someone that's been influenced by you. And all of the students, everybody, in every class will write their influence. It's a little essay, you know, A through 2. And they're submitted into all the English teachers, and the top 10 from each class will be, already have been selected, and they're going to be printed in a book. And we have a book being published this May with 40 stories. It's pretty cool. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, my daughter she was chosen.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, congrats.
Yeah, she told me the other day, but you know, she's a teenager, she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in a book.
It's
Like,
pretty
cool.
Yeah, I got such a dog.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think it's really cool. Coming up this May. So yeah, I'm be in books. Not cool. And yeah, that's all I got. I'm off into break. Head first, right? Anyone have any questions?
I think I just have a question. There's always so much going on, and I have Parent Square, and how do we announce all these really cool things to the parents and such? Do we use the Parent Square or different?
There's, the high school has a page of all their activities that are going on.
We have like Instagram and Facebook that we try and stay as up to date as we can as well. So we do what we can.
I was wondering, like, just to use more communication resources, if we shouldn't put it out there.
Do you have Mr. Rose's number? Or his email or something?
Is that the person that's in charge? That's fine.
He's the leadership director. He would be a.
Nice way to delegate. Very well done. All right.
That's a little bit outside of what I can do.
So who is it, Mr. Rosa?
Yeah, TOMAS. English teacher at the high school is also the teacher.
His wife's also here. She's right there.
Anything else from Max? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max.
Get all that done.
And don't forget to take your pile.
Can't do it.
That's when you just give it to people.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next we have school board recognition. I'll turn this over to you, Terry.
Yes, we just, on behalf of our entire district, want to thank you for the jobs that you do. That's what Steve was talking about, that's come up before, finding ways to do the absolute best we can and make the decisions that's in the best interest of all of our students. So, excuse me, thank you. You should each have a certificate at your spot thanking you for school board appreciation and also the orange cake. So, thank you much.
Thank you.
I've heard that cake, if you have a slice, you won't have to eat for like 3 days, it's so heavy, so.
Made up frogs.
Guessing it's very moist.
All right, Terry, I'll let you take the superintendent's report here too.
Okay, starting off with enrollment. We are at 2,296. That is down 14 from last month. But as you may recall, when Christy Walker was speaking to us about the transition during winter break, that's a time when students are moving around. And so that's not unexpected to have a drop there over that time. So 2296 on the enrollment. And then with our attendance, we have a new attendance winner. And so while the trophy is circulated around Hawthorne a bunch, who is this month's winner, Nate?
That's going district.
The junior high.
Junior high.
I'm not sure I remember the junior high being.
I know, that's pretty impressive.
You deserve cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, to Jim's point, that's a big accomplishment right
Yeah.
there. Because junior high age kids are tough to get to come to school, and I don't know that there's ever been a.
I'm not sure I remember junior high ever winning that award, ever.
Well done. Okay, next up, under Pillar 1 on our strategic plan progress, we have Haley Schilling and Amber Rosa to present to us on really great reading.
Stand.
Either way.
My name's Amber Rosa. This is Haley. We teach kindergarten together at Hawthorne. So we're just here for like a bit of good news, I guess. Like Steve was talking about, like finding ways to move the dial. Really great reading has been one of the best things that has happened to kindergarten in a very long time. I think lower elementary in general. So we just thought we would come and share with you a little bit about, I'm not sure how much you know about it or what it is, but we thought we'd share a little bit about what it is and then why we love it and how great it's going.
So there's 3 components to go with really great reading. The first part is the teaching part. So really as a teacher, you just get logged in and you choose your lesson, and there's 5 lessons for the week, and it's right there ready for you for the kids to see, and it's really accessible for them. The next part is these really cool boards, and the online teaching part will like lead you through building words or working with letters where they're actually touching and moving. And it also has a board that is online too that you can use while you're teaching, so either one you prefer. And then the third part is playgrounds. Ours is called, is it all of them are called playgrounds? At least in kindergarten, it's called playgrounds. And it directly connects with what you're teaching, but kids are doing it on their own, on their computer independently. So we just really love all the components that it has. It also just keeps adding components too, which we didn't have in the beginning, like handwriting. It's even showing how to make numbers and articulate words. It's really cool. And it keeps just adding more and more things, and we love that.
Right, so it's like it's an explicit phonics instruction program, and so like Haley was saying, like the main part of it comes in for us in kindergarten, it comes in 3 parts. We teach it in like 20 minutes maybe in a day, but it is like a jam-packed 20 minutes full of explicit phonics instruction. Like we know that the best ways to teach kids to read is explicitly. Like for a long time, it was believed that they could just be like exposed to it and they would just absorb it and it would be great. And it's not like that. You need to tell them explicitly. And Really Great Reading is so great at breaking it down in a really engaging way. They have really cool graphics. The kids love it. They get excited to do it. And it's short, so it's good for their attention spans. And then like she was saying, the online component, again, really great, like super engaging. And it feels like games. They're playing games, but in reality, they're learning about open and closed syllables, and they're learning long vowels and short vowels and consonants. And our little 5 and 6-year-olds can tell you all about like whether it's a consonant, whether it's a vowel. They haven't learned open and closed syllables yet, but our kids last year, mind-blowing, by the end of kindergarten, they can read words like fantastic because they can find the closed, the open syllables, the closed syllables, and make their little short pieces, read their short little pieces and blend that whole word together. And it's amazing.
I've never had a curriculum teach them how to like segment and blend better than this one because it has so many explicit, like repetitive chances in its spiral review and its short chunks, so they're ready. And I've never had a curriculum where I felt comfortable on day one when they walk in of putting it up there and getting started, because it meets them really where they're at and it starts building their vocabulary rather than having them memorize stuff right away. So instead of working on letters right away, it's like, what comes first? What comes next? Teaching them how to track and read across. So it's like appropriate for them walking in the door.
Absolutely. And she touched on it too. It's it's mainly an explicit phonics instruction, but it also is vocabulary. It also is heart words. So we're teaching like sight words to the kids in a way that makes sense to them. That's not just rote memorization. And we're teaching handwriting. And these resources are growing all the time. So like every time we go into Really Great Reading, it'll say new. So like we'll just go into the toolbox all the time and like dig around in there, and there's all new resources all the time. It's
so like we've added like
fantastic.
handwriting, and then they've added like decodable readers. They've added the numbers. They've added where you can actually watch videos of somebody teaching the kindergartners how to make and articulate a sound, because some of us think that comes naturally, but there are some kinders who you have to explain how to make an actual sound in your mouth to learn how to make it, and they teach the kids how to do that, which is awesome.
It kind of blends speech therapy in there.
Yes, it does. It lends really well, and our speech teacher loves it as well too. Yeah.
That's been one of our like really great things with it, like post-COVID, those 11th graders, right, they missed like 2 pretty crucial like years, so expecting them to be on grade level is kind of unrealistic. Well, 5-year-olds missed like socialization, and they missed looking at people speak, you know what I mean, and forming words. And so the amount of speech IEPs we've had coming through in the last couple of years
It's crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. We'll have,
Well, and when they introduce a new letter, they start with the sound first rather than memorizing the actual letter. And before we even really talk about it, we discuss, how do you make that sound in your mouth? What are you doing with your tongue? What are you doing
they kind of
with your
explore
teeth?
it, like, oh, there's air. I can feel air, or my lips touch.
And so they connect more with the sound, because really what we want them to know more is the sound before even the letter, because when you're reading, you're really only paying attention to the sounds of the letters, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and one thing we kind of glazed over is Really Great Reading is science of reading aligned. So when we talk about like learning the sounds first, we know that we need to teach kids how, like the best way to teach them is to connect it to something that they already know. And kids learn how they're spoken to from the time they're born. So they've heard all of the sounds that we can possibly make with our mouth. They already know sounds. And so Really Great Reading isolates those sounds, teaches them one at a time before it ever introduces a letter. And we found it to be so, it's like mind-blowing how quickly then, like, oh, that's a sound. I can make it in my mouth. I know how to make it. And now later we say, ooh, when we hear that sound, we're going to spell it with this letter. It's like an instant light bulb. And instead of spending half the year teaching kids the alphabet, like we're done teaching the alphabet when,
And it's constantly spiraling. So we know these letters. So we're still talking about the sounds. All these letters we've learned make, okay, let's add a few more. And so it's just this constantly spiraling with different skills and growing in complexity as you go. I would say too, like access for teachers, not only is it easy for us, but like it has a script and like a routine to follow that like then we've heard from the first grade teachers that since we did it last year, now this year they're able to do it right away, and they know how to do it when they walk through the door. So they're like ready to go, and they know the routines that we've already taught them.
Yeah, so anyways, we just wanted to bring like a little bit of good news to you guys, that this has been a really valuable, incredible resource that we're really enjoying. We're
wanna
using it
keep
in our
it.
title program, so we're using it in small groups again. So kids who, we might be in lesson 13, but our lower kids who are struggling, they're down in lesson 4 with their title teacher, kind of re-going through some of that stuff. It's been phenomenal. We've really loved it and seen really positive things coming, for the kids. So thank you. It's been great.
I love your enthusiasm.
Me too.
Thank you both. Next up,
Thank you.
under Thriving Citizen, we have Oak Heights Principal Todd Barrett.
Just echoing what those guys are saying, we're seeing some tremendous growth in our first grade, who was really flat coming off of last year. We worked really hard with them, and we're starting to see some actual big changes. So we're excited about iReady testing, which just started, to see where that growth is. But that's not what I'm talking to you guys about tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about systems that we have in place for Thriving Citizen. So Principal Dargis talked last month about the character ambassador programs and the character traits that we do, and we happily stole that from him last month, because we steal all the good ideas that we can from each other. And then I wanted to share, and it's in your board packet, and this is in there, I wanted to share a little bit of what we do as a comprehensive system. So this is our PBIS at Oak Heights, and so this page should be in your packet there. And PBIS stands for Positive Behavior Intervention Supports. And these are all components of that, which the character program was also a part of. But with PBIS, you want to have 4 basic school rules. So ours, it's 3 to 5. We went 4 is be safe, be responsible, be respectful, and be kind. We've added be kind since I was at Holly. We've added it there, and then I added when we went to Oak Heights too, because be kind is a core tenet of what students need to do when they go out into society. And we just weren't seeing it, so we wanted to add that in. So those are our 4 main rules that we talk about. And then throughout the year, these are some of the things that we do. So we have a rules roundup that we do 3 times a year. We just did our rules roundup coming off a break. So rules roundup is to teach expectations. So if you want kids to behave in the hallway, you need to teach them how to behave in the hallway. So what we do is we schedule 45 minutes in the morning for the lower hall kids, the younger kids, and 45 in the afternoon. And then we go around. And the teachers walk them around, and the adults that are in charge of those areas teach the kids. I got to go out and teach behavior expectations that day. We go in the lunchroom, we teach them lunchroom behavior, because you'd be surprised. You need to teach them and reinforce that you carry a tray with 2 hands. Mm-hmm. And so you do all those things because you have to teach them what you expect of them. So we do those rules roundups 3 times a year. Mustang Prides are tickets that we give out. We give those out to kids when they're caught doing something good. Being respectful, being responsible, being safe, and being kind. And it's important for the adults, and this is taken directly from our handbook that the teachers get at the beginning of the year. It's important for them to tell the kids why they're getting it, because you don't just want to hand them something and they have no idea. So that's something we're continuously working on, as a reason why. They collect those Mustang Prides, and then they can spend those at the Mustang Pride store. So we do fundraisers throughout the year. We're doing a fundraiser on the 17th where kids can wear pajamas at school and pay 50 cents, and then that money goes in to pay for the PBIS event. So we always have teachers who cover their whole class because they want to make sure everybody participates. If we know somebody is short, we make sure they participate. There's no, oh, nope, you don't get to participate. So we make sure they all do. And then our self-managers, which I'll talk about in a minute, they get to participate for free. So that's just kind of an extra bonus for them. So we have that Mustang Pride store once a month. Those are things that we either purchase or it could be experiences. So one of them that's coming up, 5,000 tickets, and I get a mohawk. So they love that one. So that's going to be one. So you guys will see that whenever that happens. 1,000 tickets was be principal for an hour one day. And so buy a pajama day for the whole school, buy a school party. So there's all kinds of different things that they can earn those tickets. And so kids now pool them up and then try and buy experiences together. So that's been kind of fun. So we do that. And then we have our self-manager program. And what the self-manager program is, we wanted to recognize kids who are always doing the right thing but don't always get recognized because they're doing the right thing. We spend a lot of our time on kids whose behavior is struggling, and we really want to help them, but we wanted to recognize those kids as well. So self-managers apply for it. It's an application that's gone through many changes throughout the years. We took the junior highs, which was simplified, and then simplified ours to try and match. So as kids get to the junior high, they have the same kind of language. So the kids fill out an application, they take it around to the gym, they take it to the library, they take it to recess, their classroom teacher, and they all sign off on it.
And then they can't have had a referral within the last 30 days. So that way, if a kid slips up, it gives them a chance to still get it. So they go through that process. I'm the last person to sign off on it, and then we award them their self-manager badge at our morning meeting. And then they wear that badge around, and that gives them special privileges. We do treat drops once in a while and bring them around and just try and celebrate them. They get to go into the lunchroom. Some teachers send them in first, so they get to go in there first and get sat down. They can go in the hallway and not have to have a pass or have a reason. I know if they have that self-manager badge that they're allowed to be out there because they're trustworthy. So we just really promote that. Kids can lose their self-manager badge because kids do make mistakes, and then they reapply. So it's never you're done for the whole year. And so what you're trying to do there is just keep teaching and reinforcing those behaviors. Next thing down on there is awards and recognitions. We do the character awards like Principal Dar just talked about. We also added the PE teacher, the library teacher wanted to add an award for their area because they had some struggles early on. So they give out an award for the best behaved. And then the lunchroom heard about that and jumped in too. So now we have class awards. So the lunchroom, PE, and library. The teacher that gets the most awards during the first semester gets a free 30-minute prep. They just tell me when, I come cover their class, and they get 30 minutes to go work on whatever they need to work on, which prep time is very valuable in the elementary world, and so they love that. So we just awarded that. So we have a competition between two teachers who tied, so they're going to compete on Friday. And we meet every morning. So we have a school meeting every morning. We wanted to build that relationship. So we get together every morning. On Wednesdays, the focus is Orange Frog, where we read shout-outs that students write in the library. So they have these shout-out tickets, and they have to put a specific reason of why they're giving the shout-out. A lot of them are, I want to give a shout-out to my friend because they were kind to me when I was upset. So we talk about that, and we get that specific feedback. If they're not specific, we set it to the side. If it's a younger kid, I'll try and help them rewrite it so they can get it back the next time. But we want them to be specific in those shout-outs, and those shout-outs are read to the whole school. And it's really neat because the kids will write shout-outs right before break. They wrote a shout-out to everybody wishing them a safe break. So the kids are coming up with these. They're giving them to teachers. Teachers start writing them to kids. They start writing them to each other. So we recognize each other on those Orange Frog Wednesdays. And we do that at Wednesday meetings, Friday meetings. On Fridays, we have a little party celebration, and we do our Friday fun up there, and we do Minute to Win It. And so their kids will compete up on stage, and so it gets them up there in 1 minute competition. This last Friday was shoveling snowballs. So we had cotton balls, and they had a spatula, and they had to shovel them. And they did it for 1 minute, and the winner gets some Mustang Prides to use in the store. So that's kind of the fun stuff that's going on, the holistic systems. It's more than just that piece. And the next page was the recess matrix. I just wanted to see how we break that. I wanted you guys to see how we break that down. So we have our be safe, be kind, be responsible, and be respectful. And then what does it look like under each area? And we have this for all areas of the school. So when a student says, well, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to do that, we can go right back to this matrix. Oh, no, we taught you this on this day. Oh, you weren't here that day. Let me reteach it to you. Or no, you were here. Let's go over what happened there. So we have our expectations clearly defined for them. And that just allows you to have that reteach moment. And then the last page that I included in there was student supports. And that's just because I wanted you guys to see what we have available for students. So this is all pieces. This is PLCs on Wednesday, which is what you heard these guys talking about, is they're talking to each other. They were talking about the really great reading, what they're doing. Well, when we do whole district PLCs, the kindergarten team's all talking about that. So that's what that PLC time for is, talking about collaboration, what we can do to improve student learning. We have RTI, which is our 20% meetings, where we're talking about the lowest 20% and what we can do to bring them up. At Oak Heights, we had a hard time figuring out how to fit that in, and we got an idea of how we're going to get that with Terry's support, so we're excited about that, see if we can get those meetings consistent. Student support team, teachers struggling with a kid, and they haven't had a chance to talk to anybody yet. It's behavior, it's academics. They come. You have the counselor, you have the Title I teacher, you have the special ed teacher, you have myself, the behavior specialist if we need them. And we talk about what the problem is, what's going on, what have you tried, and what can we do to support you to help you with that student. So those SST meetings are every week or as needed. It can be more frequent or less as needed. Walk to Read, we tried to add Walk to Math this year, but it was too much to have too many different systems. So Walk to Read is a 30-minute intervention time where every kid in the school is getting interventions. So what that means is, hey, if I see that you're a first grader and you have some phonics, then we're going to give you specific instruction in phonics. While this first grader might be learning comprehension, might actually be already reading or an emerging reader, so we're going to work on this over here. So how do we differentiate the education to that kid's need? And so that's what we do with our Walk to Read time. That's our intervention time. And that's something we started this year. We wanted to do it, and the teachers, it was grassroots, they were adamant we get it going, because we know our kids need it. Our data shows that our kids are struggling coming off the pandemic. Title I, we're all Title I schools, elementary, that's extra money, extra support to help, and so we serve, I'd have to look at her sheet right now, but there's got to be 50, 60 kids right now, if not more, coming into the Title I room, getting direct instruction in small group. And it grows and shrinks as needed. Special education, speech, and counseling. So those are the support systems that are in place to help these kids. And we just keep working at it. We never give up. We never give up on a kid and their problems. We just keep trying to figure it out. And we meet as administrators and we talk about what are we going to do, and we steal ideas from each other, and the teachers do the same thing, and that's why that time is so crucial. So I just wanted to share a little bit with you guys about what we do and what the systems are that are in place. And so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, thanks for listening, and thanks for what you guys do and giving your time.
Real quick comment,
Yeah.
Todd. So I've had the opportunity to sit in with business leaders about kind of what they would like to see better out of education.
Yeah.
and things like that. And across the board, it's soft skills.
Yeah.
Across the board, it's show up on time, be ready to go, all of these things. This is laying the foundation for that.
Yeah.
This is the start of teaching those soft skills.
Yep.
So a lot of times, we look at those test scores, those standardized tests and things like that Steve was talking about. And most business leaders will say, I can teach those things.
Yep.
I can make sure that the employees that I have know how to do these things. But what I need is for them to come prepared with these soft skills.
Yeah.
And so, just shout out to everybody and what you guys are doing to start early with these things. Because these aren't necessarily things they get at home. And so, it's becomes the job of the education system, whether we want it or not, to teach some of these soft skills. And this is what can make somebody successful after high school. When they enter the real world work world, is those soft skills.
Exactly why we did Thriving Citizen when we did our 4 pillars, and we all sat there as these are the skills we need. I spent a lot of time in retail and running cell phone companies before I came to education, so this is stuff the kids need to be in the real world working and be successful. So awesome. Thanks, Jason.
One comment, something that I thought, when you were talking about you're preparing them for the junior high school.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we think vertical articulation is only with standards, but it's those soft skills too. And the thing that I really appreciate about what you were saying, it's that familiar language, so that when you go up, it's already taught.
Yep.
So are all the elementary schools doing this, and you're just representing?
I'm not sure what they're all doing in that. That's just something that's always been important to me. I was a middle school teacher for years, as well as an elementary teacher. So, and Nate and I have called him before, and when Terry was up there, we talked about like hats was an example. Do you allow hats? Okay, I want to make sure my rules are aligned with yours. So that's just something I've always believed in. I think the other schools follow along too and do the same thing. But yeah, it's trying to match as much as possible.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are really working hard. It's amazing what you were talking about.
Yeah, they're doing good work. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
On Pillar 3 for Thriving Community, you've heard from Michelle Snyder before at the amazing opportunities that continue with the partnership with the medical Western Oregon there in Lebanon. Those are ongoing. And then I don't recall that she talked about the cross-age work that she's doing. The students from the high school are going down and working in the elementary schools, and they're doing science activities and such. So I expect anytime here we'll get another update on that. And she's good at sharing pictures and kind of the story of what's going on. And so really we'll need to make sure and share that with the board next time.
Well, I can speak to it. My daughter did it, and it was a graded course. And she, for her specifically, what she was volunteering for, she had to have a driver's license because she was driving to another school. She was assigned to a teacher, and she was the teacher aide, and then she got a grade. And she got, and you guys all know, she's going to be a teacher now. She loved it. So it's good.
So just a brief update there. And then on safe and welcoming facilities and services, Kevin's going to do an update regarding the pool later on. So that is my report.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Next, we have the consent agenda. Approve the minutes from the December 11, 2023 school board meeting and approve out-of-state cheerleading competition in Anaheim, California, February 14 through 20 of 2024. And to clarify, we have to approve any out-of-state trips for students as a board, so that's why that's on there.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Budget update, Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Jason. Item 6A in the board packet. We are now halfway through our fiscal year, and year-to-date spending as compared to the previous year is up almost $850,000. Primary reasons for that, higher labor expenses, somewhat higher utility costs, higher charter school payments, and also higher property and liability insurance premiums. But when you look at what we had budgeted for the year, we are still on track to be within our overall budget.
Kevin, I could probably do the math here, but as a percentage of the total budget, where you say we're up 850,000, give me a rough percentage of what the increase is over last year.
Over last year, that's going to be about 6%, a little bit.
So inflation.
So roughly.
I mean, roughly, yeah, okay.
And what most of our budget is tied to labor costs, and so that's a lot of it. Utility costs have gone higher, insurance costs have gone higher, but it's really labor is the bulk of our budget.
Thank you.
I'll let you take the next couple, actually.
Okay, next one. We have included in the board packet an update on our elementary and secondary schools emergency relief funds. It's kind of hard to read in the board packet, so we also tonight provided it in the yellow booklet for you to look at. A lot of good information in here. Some people refer to this as COVID funds, which is accurate. This is something Congress passed following COVID. They have 3 rounds of funding. Each round has had slightly different spending rules, and so we've included in here what those rules are. So there's been ESSER 1 and ESSER 2, and both of those we've fully spent. Right now we're working on ESSER 3, and those funds need to be spent by September 30th of this year, and so we've included in here kind of a plan, a column showing our planned spending for the remainder of those funds. And so just something that we want you to be aware of, we want to be transparent where those funds are going. And just, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us about it.
How many more years are we expecting this to go on?
ESSER 3, we have to have the funds spent by September 30th of this year. So we are, the finish line is getting close.
So are they going to have like an ESSER 4 and an ESSER eternity?
I have not heard any discussion of that, so.
Debbie, the only reason I'm asking is, are any of these jobs, like in the column for 2024, are these resources or people? Because if we pay people from ESSER funds, then we don't have the funds anymore, what are we going to do?
Great question, and that's something that we've been aware of. And so, yes, we do have some positions that are being charged to ESSER, but what we tried to do right now is knowing that we're going to have to move most of those back into the general fund. We've been trying to build up our general fund balance a bit to be able to absorb those costs when they come back in. So we're trying to plan ahead. But, you bring up a great question. This is something that, you read school districts across the nation really are talking about what they call the fiscal cliff. When this funding goes away, what will happen? And some school districts have spent a lot of their ESSER funds on positions that they want to sustain. As much as possible, we try to use it for some one-time expenditures or for curriculum. In fact, like when you look on the cover page here, like the first page, we use ESSER funds to help supplement some other grant funds to be able to put on our summer school programs. that's something that we may not be able to do to the same extent going forward. That's something that ESSER definitely helped with. Second picture, that's a control system for our HVAC systems. So we've been able to upgrade and improve airflow, air quality in our schools using ESSER funds. Third picture shows actually some of the really great leading curriculum that we just heard about. The good thing is the state has just stepped up with an early literacy grant, and so it's good timing where some of the expenditures that we've been able to use ESSER funds for, we can now use another source going forward. But yeah, it's something that we're watching, and it's a big question.
Kevin, if you look at the budget numbers that just came out back there that they proposed, there is no anything for ESSER funds in that. Matter of fact, they're just barely what they're funding this year is in education. So.
Thank you.
Decisions we'll have to make in a couple months with the budget. All right, any questions for Kevin? Any other questions? All right, next we have the action items.
Pool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One more. Swimming pool update. Right now, we are moving forward. We're putting together requests for proposals that will put out to contractors to replace the filtration system at the pool and to also replaster the pool. These are two fairly large projects. Ideally, time-wise, we would like to be able to complete them sometime this summer. One of the concerns with the pool is if we drain the pool and the water table is high, we never want to have it float. And so, timing is everything. And so it is possible, depending on when all of this takes place and we get proposals back, that it could be kind of between board meetings. If that's the case, just I want to warn you, it might be necessary at some point to have a special board meeting to approve contractors that it's still too early to tell. It's something that we're working on, but we will be coming to you as a board for approval to award this work. I'm hopeful within the next 1 to 2 months. Is it?
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Now, action items. So approve the board policies is our third reading, so we'll need to take action one way or another on these tonight. So we have the list of board policies there. We do have a couple of changes based on the discussion that we had last time. I don't know, everybody should have those correct.
They're in the board package.
Yeah. So, first one being the BDA policy on board meetings. There actually was a change to the section on weapons. This is one that we can take or leave. We can throw it up as another agenda item down the road, or we can take this. Either way is fine. I'll leave that up to everybody else. But it's a line in there that kind of ties it to the rest of our policy, makes it follow the rest of the policies on weapons in the school district. So this one was in direct conflict with what the other policies were, so we need to do something to change it at some point and make them match. So second one there is communications outside of a board meeting. And what did we do there, Terry? I'm trying to remember from the discussion we had the other day.
Yeah, it's, when we were talking about it, Mike had explained it pretty well at the end of the last meeting. The things that can be discussed and can't. the serial meetings, so not replying to something that's informational, so it doesn't turn into an electronic chain meeting, not meeting out of these meetings for substantive things. If it's just, like on 3-5, the page there, highlighted, they've taken out a bunch of stuff. And then 1, 2, 3, purely factual or educational in nature, not related to any matter, non-substantive in nature, communications relating scheduling, leaves of absences, is what that is.
So it doesn't look like there's any change to it, though, from when we first got this 3 months ago.
I think that was just to clarify the reasoning behind it, right, was the discussion.
Okay.
So,
It was
and-
highlighted like we
Yeah.
had a change, another change in this. It's still the same language that we had in the beginning.
Still the same language, yes. It just follows the law more closely than what the old language did. So. And then the other one I have here was in policy GCPC. Around the retirement of staff. And Terry, what was the change here? Do you
Yeah,
remember?
no change. We have a contract system already in place.
Okay.
So that when someone like Steve, who retired recently, he formally retired from the district, went into HERS retirement, and then his new contract reflects that.
And the benefit of that type of a situation is savings to the district. You get an experienced teacher with less cost, basically.
Yeah, there's some cost savings on behalf of the district. And the employees themselves, it's a little, there are minor changes, but like they don't get some of the same holidays, paid holidays and things. And so it is an adjustment on behalf of the employee too. But what that allows them to do is
It's a 12-month employee.
draw their retirement income that, as long as they're fully qualified under HERS to do so, they can start drawing that, which 31, 32 years that he's, paid into the system, he can start drawing out now, and then have a slightly reduced income and savings on the district side. So it's slightly less for the employee that goes into that contract.
And it isn't automatic. It isn't something that just happens because they choose for it to happen.
They request it.
Correct. Yeah.
They have to request that.
Just want to make sure that's clear so that everybody knows that we're not tying ourselves here to something that we don't have.
Well, the problem I had with the language, and it's no different than it was in the last meeting when I brought it up, is where it says the superintendent will develop requirements, limitations, and procedures for employees as a PERS retiree. I think a single individual, that sounds to me like we're giving a single individual the right to write policy. And it seems to me something like that, given that responsibility to a single individual, that's something, they can say, I don't like you because you have orange hair, or I'm not saying that you would, but I'm saying that that's almost setting up a dictatorial relationship with this guy. One guy can say, no, I make the policy here. You see, that's the problem I have with that. I think that should be something that's, maybe not the board makes, Terry works for us, and he works under the guidelines of our board policy, or the next guy, or the last guy, or whoever. And if they come in and they can write their own policy, even though we're not using that word policy in here, that's what it sounds like to me. I'm not comfortable with that language.
There are administrative rules around every policy, which are the purview of the superintendent to implement the policy through administrative rules, which is where I think this is pointing. It's, in most districts, they don't approve those. The board doesn't. In this district, we do. So we do have the.
I just don't think we need to say in specific language that the superintendent has this right to make to write this policy. I don't think that needs to be in. I'm just speaking my, and that's the same thing I said at the last meeting, and the language obviously is the same, so I'm gonna bring it, reiterate it again. Everybody has they can vote any way they want, but that's my 2 cents worth. And that's not a personal affront towards you, that's just towards your position, you know, and
The only thing I would say in response is that is what the superintendent is hired to do. It's part of the day-to-day business of the district. The board does approve the contracts and such for teachers, but that's not something that the board in our setting or in others, you know, you're not going through them line item by line item to say, oh, okay, we like Mrs. Johnson, but not Mr. Johnson. And so it's something that I already do. That's already been given, but as far as language, you know, that's for this group to decide.
yeah, to me, it's just the particular way that it's written. It says will develop requirements, limitations, and procedures. That's all just another name for policy, in my opinion.
Well, when it says they will develop that, it doesn't say that they won't submit it to the board for approval.
Doesn't say that they will either.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't say that. It just says that they will create it.
Okay, we're beating a dead horse here. I
So,
think I've made my point.
are you wanting the words put in there?
I won't vote for this package as a package if that language is in here. That's what I'm saying.
Are you saying it's
So do
okay
you have-
for him
do you
to
have
make
language
it
to
up?
replace it with?
Well, I think
Solution?
that all we would have to add was something to this, you know, with final approval of the board, or, you know, in layman's terms, you know, we can make all I say he, the superintendent, I'm not trying to single anybody out, I'm saying that the office, that position, they can come up with procedures for employment as a first retiree, but that is subject to the approval of the board. Because I think it's just, again, it sounds like we're giving an individual the right to write policy for the entire district. Now, no, on the day-to-day, we give them not a mandate, but a charter, or whatever you want to call it. They have that to do their job. They have to have some latitude. But when it comes down to actually developing, however it says, develop requirements, that's a little different than just day-to-day.
So what?
And maybe we're splitting hairs,
Well,
but that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm just saying.
What you're wanting, though, is you're wanting it to say that he will prepare it and then submit it for approval. Is that what you're saying? Submit that.
Yeah,
Is that okay with you, Terry? I mean, is that?
Yeah, again, as Floyd's saying, the board makes policy.
Yeah,
carry
so
it out.
what,
Yeah, I want to avoid a situation where a person, say, Terry's successor, 3 superintendents down the road, doesn't like somebody because they got into it at the baseball diamond or who knows what, and that teacher decides they want to retire, and they want to come back and work, and all of a sudden the policy says, oh, you have to have an MBA or higher, or you can't work back as a retiree, because he knows they only have a bachelor degree. You see what I mean? It can lead to some arbitrary decisions and some you know, things that I don't think are conducive to how this board likes to do stuff, is what I'm saying. Obviously, I'm losing you guys.
no, I'm trying to get the,
Yeah, well, something to keep in mind too is we have exactly one of these. And so I don't know how much time more time we want to spend on it when we have a total of 1. I'm not against
Who
changing.
spoke to us tonight?
Yeah, so
He's
we're
the
not
only
doing
one.
a dozen of these a year, which the counterpoint would be, it doesn't matter if it's a dozen or 1, but this isn't something we're gonna hit on a lot. If folks on the board want to get together and, you know, we can do a work session at any time to talk about policy, that's fine.
So we have the option of separating these policies out as well. So if there's a policy that we want to revisit, we can pull it out and you know, approve the rest, or however we want to do it. We have the option.
I would make a motion to approve and table this one till, or maybe I'm using the wrong language, but to postpone a decision on this until we have time to.
So are you making a motion to approve the rest of the policies except for this one?
Yes, I'm okay with everything else.
Okay, I just want to
Okay,
clarify.
Make that motion first.
Yeah.
Yep. So we have a motion to approve all of the policies except for GCPC. GDPC, yeah.
One second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
We just haven't gone through the other ones yet, so I'm a little concerned if we just blanket with that motion.
Is
There might be
any changes,
something,
though?
there might be something else that we might want to set aside.
Well, we've had 2 months to go through the other ones, and these are the questions that have come up.
There's been a lot of things that we've been discussing.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor at this point, so,
You have a second, right?
and a second, yes.
Question.
So, yeah, go ahead, Terry.
So if some, not knowing when this might be addressed, like I said, subcommittee, work session, what have you, if an employee comes forward in March, and says, hey, I've hit my time, I want to retire and work back, where does that?
We already
have a policy.
We have a
Steve Thorpe
policy.
just did that.
We're just doing all the policies except that one right now.
This is
Then
just-
we're gonna talk about that.
We have something in
That was
place
my
already,
question.
obviously.
Yeah,
That was my question, if
Yeah.
it would
So
stop
let's-
that.
let's do those right now, and then we'll come back and talk about this one for a second. On what we're gonna do.
Just to throw this in, one part about this policy that is really positive is that retirement employees are encouraged to coordinate with PERS and human resource department to ensure that all requirements are met. I think that's kind of a big deal because we are not responsible, the district is not responsible for people to turn in their PERS. So that additional thing is kind of a good thing because it tells them that when you retire, you're responsible for the PERS part. The other part of the development requirements, basically, we just have a contract that states, okay, you're retiring from our district, but just so you know, your insurance, different things are, after they retire, there's different things, and that's what the requirements and limitations are. You don't get holiday pay, you don't get that, and I think that's what it's trying to say. Taking out superintendent, the district will develop those things. But it just makes it clear for people when they retire of what the expectations are. Does that make sense? So like we want them to know that you have to go through the PERS. The district does not help you do that. That is your responsibility. So I think that's what this is really supposed to be. The last sentence kind of throws it off for me, and I get that.
Yeah, I like that part of the
So
language. I do.
we have a motion.
Yeah, we gotta vote on that.
We have a motion on the floor at this point, so do we have any discussion on the policies that are up for approval minus the GCPC, GCDC?
Yeah, and I do apologize for not having brought these up before, honestly. I know you said we had a couple of months, and I'm sorry. It's just, I think it's,
So we have a motion on the
so
floor.
he just,
We can't-
hold on, please. I think he just said,
Point of order, we cannot talk about anything other than
that's what I
that
thought
motion.
he just
period.
said. That, are there anything that we need to
No.
discuss?
We have
So-
to discuss the
Please
motion.
don't do that. Yeah. So I thought that's what your language was. You said, is there
The
anything?
motion, is to approve the language as it's set before us at this point. So, to discuss the language or changing that language would be outside of the motion.
So if you vote no, then we can.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, I see.
Correct.
Thank
We
you.
have to deal with the motion that's on the floor before we can
Got it.
move past to, everybody clear? All right. So any discussion?
Well, yeah, you're just asking for discussion.
Well, I'm asking for
Discussion on the motion,
on the
on
motion.
this motion.
Okay.
So, yeah,
I
it's,
can see, you can see where that's a little confusing.
but I've been in this situation before where I haven't given somebody enough time for discussion, and it comes back on me, and somebody's upset because they didn't have enough time to talk about what they felt like they wanted to talk about. So, that's being careful here. So, okay. Motion is to approve all of the package of policies here minus GCPC, GDPC. So that everybody's clear on that. So hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So can we get a quick show of hands to see who that? So we have motion passes. All right. So now,
All those against perform.
oh, yeah, and any against, sorry, Mary.
Okay, so,
Any against the motion, sorry.
oh,
Okay, so we have Mary opposed to the motion.
That way it gets.
Yep, that way it's all matter of fact.
Is Amanda still on?
she does that.
Thumbs up.
Sheet
okay.
thumbs up, okay. All right, now, policy GCPC, GDPC. We can look for a solution, or we can kick it down the road.
I just feel like it brushes up against the day-to-day that we really shouldn't be involved in. We've hired the superintendent to do this day-to-day, and if part of that is writing policy, I don't think that we should be able to review it and approve something that we're actually asking him to do. And it's throughout all of the policies. There's several policies in here that have him reviewing and writing policy based on something that's already in our packet. So are we gonna do that every time? I don't really
Well,
want to do that.
this is something new. We're not going back through and this is something that we're trying to add. So we need to look at what we're trying to add. It's not like we're going through every line item that we already have in our.
Well, that's what we're supposed to be doing, because we're authorizing it. We're reviewing this, all of these, and there's several in here that ask for that, that say that we're asking the superintendent to do that already. So this one, what's the issue with this one, I guess I'm asking.
I've made my case. If you don't agree with me, that's your prerogative.
It's just interesting that we're asking him to do this with every single, like family medical leave, it's in here that he is supposed to be developing administrative regulations as necessary. But this one, he's not.
Well, and I, to your point, I think where this gets into the day-to-day business is the superintendent sets the standards for hiring the teachers in the first place. It's
Disciplining teachers,
yeah,
progressive
yeah.
discipline.
Those are the prerogative of the superintendent based inside of the broad parameters that we set in policy. And then the superintendent takes those broad parameters and narrows them down into specific requirements and implements those. And that's where it becomes, we hire the superintendent to do this. And I guess if we have concerns about a superintendent in the future being petty and this type of thing, it's typically a long-term employee, typically somebody that's retiring from this district. If there was a problem, we would have probably addressed that to begin with. So my thoughts, go ahead.
So if most administrators, whenever they make policy, they send this policy up and have it looked at whenever they make something like that, they have their attorney look at it, make sure that they're following hiring rules, and that it's in all this other stuff. And if they don't do that, they're probably not a good administrator. But then most administrators do that so that they're covered. Am I wrong, Mike?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think this language is going to give him the authority to say, I don't like your green shirt, or I'm going to deny you. It's going to list out specific criteria. You know, you've taught in the district for 30 years that you can retire. You know, you're showing up to work every day. You know, you've shown up so many days. I think it's going to list specific criteria. I don't think it's going to give him the discretion to do anything that deviates, you know, discrimination or disliking somebody. And I don't think
if that complaint is made, then we have an issue we need to discuss in executive session. But I don't think this is any different than any other day-to-day delegation that we give him.
I just haven't seen this particular kind of language, and you might be right, it might exist all over, but I just haven't seen it. This is put towards us to vote on, so I have to look at it with a magnifying glass and see what I see there. And if you all don't see it, that's why we have all of us. Mary's the lone dissenter, and I can be the lone dissenter on this one, and that's okay.
Well, but that's why we pulled it out, so we could talk about it a little bit and discuss that.
Dale, do you have something?
Isn't this is covered under teacher's contract? I mean, the overall teacher's contract. Obviously, it's all part of the,
Is it a part of the collective bargaining agreement?
There's hiring laws,
Yes.
there's the.
Well, but
teacher
for
contract.
retire hiring back, is it part of the collective bargaining?
Yes.
because he's
Yeah,
sole president.
that's another good point.
And if you want to get down to it, as far as developing whatever, you develop that, and then that would become basically an AR.
It still has to be subject to the collective bargaining unit
Yep.
and the
And the
state
board.
laws and whatever your attorney tells you.
Yeah. And an AR, we vote on anyways.
I would say, I'm with what Julie said earlier, I think that these are things like, say, for enrolling in insurance, telling the retiree that you need to make your plan selections by September 15th in order to have insurance coverage for that upcoming year. Those types of things that, I don't see them as significant things. So, I guess if you don't have it in by September 15th and you don't have insurance, that's significant, but, not stuff that would be at the board level by any means.
And I would make a motion to approve GCPC, GDPC.
And I'd second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any discussion? No. Motion is to approve GCPC, GDPC. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approve. So we got 6, so, yep, motion passes. All right, next we have the approved early literacy grant application. Barbie, I think you want to go through this, don't you?
I am excited that Kevin shared about ESSER because this early literacy grant has come at a perfect time. So this is funding that our district can use for our primary students, kindergarten through 3rd grade, with the opportunity to support 4th grade and 5th grade because of the school loss due to the pandemic. So we have 2 school years. The first year, our current year, year 1, we have the opportunity to receive $163,459.31, and we have proposed to really place an importance on our really great reading that the 2 kindergarten teachers from Hawthorne shared with you tonight. We know that it's moving the dial. It is a system that's working, especially with our younger primary students that really need to have a firm foundation in their phonics instruction and their reading instruction. So we have placed a value on additional student kits and the playground for really great reading, which is the technology component, not the playground outside. We also would like to budget in for 2 certified teachers per elementary school to do an after-school tutoring club. We think that if we were to reach those students with some more time after school and focus on literacy, we could move the dial in that aspect. We've also budgeted for supplies and some curriculum for that after-school tutoring club. And then we wanted to allow our admin in each building to have the freedom to use some funding for their individual schools. So we've placed a small amount of money for each school to either purchase book sets or something that is based on early literacy, with the fact that the admin would come to us and present their request, just like they do with Title I funding. We also are planning for some training sessions with our Really Great Reading, and that's in there as well. For year 2, because we know that ESSER funds are going away, we really would like to place an importance on a literacy coach. When I went to a early literacy grant meeting with other districts surrounding Sweet Home, most of those districts are placing the majority of their funding with a person, with a staff member that would be the early literacy coach. We know that would be great because this person would have a reading endorsement. They would go to all 4 of our elementary schools and model what it looks like to do small group instruction. They would also support and train our classified staff so that they would be able to use our new curriculum and the Really Great Reading curriculum and really have more of our staff members able to teach our students. Completely. The pandemic did a huge loss for our students. And again, you heard from the gals that were even seeing the speech where they weren't able to really see with the masks on how to pronounce the words and use the letter sounds with their mouth formation. So we are taking all of that into consideration, and this money, like I said, is coming at the perfect time. And I'm here to ask for your approval so we could submit this. And part of the grant requirement is to present to the board and then submit to them our agenda and our findings tonight. So any questions?
It's supposed to release the funds after the short session?
Well, we will submit this month, and then once we receive the funds, we can backtrack it to October. So that's the blessing here, is we can go ahead and fund some of that Really Great Reading that they're already, just swapping it out. So again, it's coming at a really good time for all of the districts, not just Sweet Home.
And for the literacy coach, do we have somebody within the district already?
We surveyed our staff and talked with our admin, and we have had some people approach and say that they're interested with a reading endorsement. So I'm hopeful that we could find somebody that knows our Sweet Home kids and, is within our district. We didn't want to go ahead and put that in for this current year. We wouldn't want to displace a building, but we do have some desire, which is really exciting for me, that we have some Sweet Home folks that would step up.
So, Marty, you mentioned that position, the reading coach, and I was a little unclear. You mentioned the ESSER funding that was ending, and you wanted to use funding to hire, is this grant, is it? It's repeatable?
Right,
Okay,
right.
So we wouldn't be hiring somebody and then
Right.
hit that cliff that Kevin was talking about.
Exactly.
And have to lay them off after 1 year.
So when I was here talking to you about the integrated guidance, those 6 initiatives, those 6 grants that they lumped into one, this early learning, early literacy grant would be like number 7. So it came in later, so they weren't able to include it in the 6 initiatives, but it will be continuing. So this grant would continue, we would have to apply, so it would be a long-term position.
It's state funding.
Mm-hmm.
It's not federal funding.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Nice to see it finally come around.
Yes, and I'm a huge fan of early literacy, so this is just right up our alley. It's a really good thing for kids. So I hope that you will approve that this evening.
So can I make a motion to approve it?
Absolutely.
I make a motion to approve this grant.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have Mary with a motion and Dale with a second. Any discussion?
All right, thank you.
Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. I haven't received any public comments tonight. Do we have any board comments? All right, no late items. Future agenda items, next board officers meeting is Thursday, February 1st at 3:30 in the superintendent's office. The next board meeting is February 12th at 6:30 here in the district office boardroom. And we are adjourned.